this is where we see that there has to be some time allocated to allowing people to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And this is when you see so much pressure put on people to deliver these buildings and these projects. We've got to educate the people that are actually ordering the work.
Yeah.
So the homeowners, the building designers, to say, you do know, if you're going to ask for a £10,000 job, that's all you're going to get is a £10,000 job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, no one cares if the conduit's in and what colour it is. They just want to make sure the lights or sockets work. That's the bit there. They understand functionality. They don't understand safety.
Darren Staniforth, thank you so much for coming into Metpro to see us. Really appreciate taking the time out, mate. Thank you.
No problem. When you say time out, it was time spent on the motorway I'm never going to get back.
Yeah, apologies about that. Sorry. We might look to move premises in the future to make life better for you.
If you could avoid the M6,
sure.
It'd be really appreciated.
I'll put a word in. Don't worry. Before we get into the real core of the conversation, you're pretty well known in the industry anyway. But I think if you wouldn't mind just giving us a bit of information who you are and what you do.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Darren Staniforth, and I'm currently, I think I got this right last time I checked the bottom of the email, it's Head of Technical Solutions here at CEF. So I've been here now for 2 and a bit years with CEF, making sure really that CEF does start to deliver on Your Electrical Expert.
Yep.
So CEF, Your Electrical Expert, that badge has been around for a number of years, and my bosses have been asking, look, how do we deliver on that? I've been lucky enough to work with CEF for a while. Even at my last employers was lucky enough to work with them, and they were always asking the question, what can we do to aid our customers and to make our customers better informed, better knowledge?
Yeah.
So I said, look, I'll come and give you a hand.
Okay.
That was 2.5 years ago.
You don't still work for the other company, do you? You did move on?
No,
okay.
That's me, yeah. So I've been here full time, yeah. I think the other people know I've left.
Okay. You have to be careful this doesn't get to the tax man.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Okay, lovely. Well, as you know, we're talking about product quality.
Right.
It's something that's very important to us at Metpro. But with your pedigree, you've come up, you spent a lot of time in your career as a Sparky,
yes.
And then you've gone into delivering these tech talks all across the country. Just come back from Ireland, did you say?
Yeah, well, so it started off just it was wherever BS 7671 went. So
right,
it was England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. I've even delivered some online stuff out to other parts where BS 7671 will reach. So Cyprus and Malta, stuff,
oh wow!
So out to those, but yeah, just been out into Ireland, which is it's very much based. It looks pretty much the same, but we have to remember all these standards come from a CENELEC document, a European document, and that's one big regional standard, and then each country of its own right has to take the technical intent with that in every 3 to 5 years, depending upon which country you're talking about. But we've been out in Ireland. They're just looking at a regs change at the moment. So over there, it's not regulations, it's national rules.
Okay.
So we've been over there getting ahead through the standard. They're looking to adopt a change to the rules. So SI 10101 is the name of their standard.
Try to that when you're drunk.
There's another number for you, right? So that has gone through public consultation. We've just been over there delivering to about 250 people what the proposed changes are.
Right.
So I spent a rainy week in Sligo, Limerick, Waterford, and then up to Dublin.
Oh, nice.
Seeing all the guys out there. So
okay,
it's
so you
been really good.
Got a proper pint of Guinness at the end.
They are right. It does taste better there.
Yeah,
they really are. I didn't believe them. But it does. It absolutely does. I can confirm it does taste better in Ireland.
There you go. You heard it here, not first, but just a re-endorsement. Great. Okay. Well, the first question I want to jump in with is, how important to you are British standards? So,
to me personally, I think British standards or BS or any standard itself is really a key. It's a key to letting you do things. It's key to unlocking doors to allowing innovation and product development to happen.
Yeah.
If you don't have that standardization, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a wild west out there.
Yeah.
What unfortunately we see with standardization, and I've been lucky enough to be involved with some development of standards across the many years over a previous employer, and now I help to put together some guidance on some standards that's there, we see so much innovation take hold that standards actually lag development. So for a standard to actually have a rightful meaning and not to look like it's out of date by the date it's actually printed, it's really hard for them to catch up or keep up the pace, because innovation at the minute is so fast.
Yeah.
So without then watering down the standard and making it so wishy-washy that it has no substance to it, because you want to leave a lot of it open-ended to allow for development, we have to see things come out and a line drawn in the sand, and people say, that's it, no, whatever's in it is in it, and let's publish it, and then we'll have to revisit it in another 3 or 4 years' time. And that's why we're seeing a lot of, that's why people are seeing a lot of me, because standards change quite a lot in our industry.
Yeah.
And I think that pace will continue to happen. So personally for me, the change in regulations or change in standards is great, because it means I've got something to talk about.
Where just out of curiosity, where are you seeing the most innovation within the construction products, would you say?
It's probably all down to, lighting throughout.
Yeah.
There's always a lighting. This does a bit better, does it more efficiently, and that's really the drive for a lot of things now. Is a sustainable, and how we can move across with energy efficiency is a really big winner for a lot of people.
Okay.
Then you look at actually what are we trying to do is deliver a building for the future, not just for now but the future.
Yeah.
So then it's longevity. So then people are asking, right, okay, so it's all very well and good that having something that's going to last 5 years, but what about actually the longevity? Can you expand the lifespan of things? And we're seeing a lot of that.
Okay.
And that's where we're starting to see a lot of the innovation is in those sort of areas.
Right.
When it's your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So conduit and boxes and stuff like that. I mean, you can recognise a conduit box if it's 5 years old or 100 years old, couldn't it? It's the same.
Yeah.
But I think from what you've been telling me today, this is probably the area where innovation could really pay off, because the savings here are enormous. If you guys get it right in your research and development team, that will get paid off in when I'm actually fitting it. If you can show people, actually you can reduce the time of installation by however many fold, that's the real energy, the real big spinner, because at that point you're saving energy, you're saving money.
Yeah.
That's the big one, and you come all of a sudden the project comes in at a lot less money.
Exactly, yeah. And then, when people are, there seems to be with contractors, and I'm only basing this off conversations that I've had, and I'm not a contractor, obviously, but there seems to be this, that there's the focus on that job and that's it, and then there's no thinking about the future. But
this industry, we fit and forget. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We just want, does it work? That's fine. Now I'm leaving. I'm getting on to the next one. And you want to fit and forget, and that's what you do as a Sparks. You want that reliability to be there, and you want to ensure that you're buying the stuff that will allow you to do very much fit and forget. If you're buying and purchasing stuff that means, I've got to go back to that job again and change it again, you very soon stop buying that stuff and move on to something that's a bit more reliable.
Exactly. So we had a conversation with a young contractor called Theo Webster. This is going back to last year when he came in. I think it was July. And not to, this is our platform, so we can do what we want, but a bit of a shameless plug for one of our innovations, which is Conlock. And one of the things that he liked about it was because he knew that he was going to save X amount of time, and he can then plan the next job and the next job, and it just makes his life easier.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Stuff like that is brilliant, because time, if you're a one-man band, you're a small, medium enterprise listening to this, time is everything for you. Likewise, if you're those really big projects, fitting that stuff and then really big projects, you could see the man days coming down, which to you is absolutely wonderful. To the end client, it's quite nice as well, because they get a bit of money back.
Exactly.
But it just saves that time, and that Conlock is, for me, it's a great way to go.
Well, that's what that's what we like to hear. And if any Spurs fans are out there watching, you can go and have a look around your new stadium, because it's in there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's an excuse to go to Spurs, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. You've got to have some reason to go.
I'm not a football fan. I don't hold Darren's views.
Coming from a Notts County fan.
Oh,
dear.
There you go. So coming back then to the standards, you've said that they're important. We know they're important. I mean, if we talk about conduit tube, for example, we know what we need to do for our products to meet those standards, and we also know what markings are needed on every single length so that they comply. But we also know that it's or we would argue that it's quite easy to bring non-compliant product and flood the market with that.
Yeah. There's not a lot of checking that's done in the purchasing end of it.
Yeah.
There should be checks and balances that are done on the installation, the pre-install stuff, but the actual purchasing sort of side of stuff, you can go online to Alibaba.com and see whatever you want, and you can buy a load of it and get it delivered.
Exactly.
But then it comes down to compliance, and the compliance is the big thing, because it should be then down to whoever is signing the certificate for the design, the installation and the inspection test part of it.
Right.
They're the guys that have got to say, no, hold on a minute, that's not coming on my site, and I'm not putting that in because it doesn't comply with whatever's in BS 7671 or any other specifications that the job also has upon it. So this is a big thing about really making sure that the people on site or the building designers really know what's what.
What do you think that current situation is? I've no doubt that there's going to be people who have that level of responsibility that take it bloody seriously, and they know what they need to do, and they will absolutely turn things away that aren't to standard. But do you think that's the exception or the rule?
It depends. I'd say if you look at the smaller end of the market, those guys where there aren't the mechanisms for the checks and balances to be done.
Yes.
They will just be buying, probably without knowing, substandard stuff.
Right.
So we see that a lot.
Yeah.
Having said that, you go to the other end of the market, the larger, the bigger jobs. I mean, these guys have all got ISO standards 14011, environmental management systems. So they've all got those bits in. So they should be doing the checks and balances before it gets anywhere near site. They should be doing that. So it should all get picked up there. It's these other people that are buying stuff maybe off the internet without knowing where it's sourced before it gets onto that website. They're the ones that are getting caught out. Sometimes they're doing it knowingly.
Yes.
So they're buying product. I do have to say, I know that there are some unscrupulous, obviously no one listening to this, but there are some who would just say, I'm just buying it because it's cheaper. But then there's those that will just be buying it because they think they're getting a deal. Actually, they're not. Yeah.
Do you ever worry about the quality of product coming into the market? And if I can, if you talk about the construction industry, the construction products as a whole, but if we could try and keep it on items like tube and channel and products that are more pertinent to us, do you worry about those products coming in that are inferior?
Well, there was a horrific event which is Grenfell. Grenfell happened, and then the Dame Hackett report came in off of that, and quite rightly so, there were some really big recommendations, and we're still seeing the ramifications of those recommendations now. Yeah. And one was the golden thread, to ensure that everything from conceptual stage of the building all the way through to designing it, costing it, drawing it up, actually constructing it and making it, then maintaining it, every single part of that, there would be a golden thread that run through. Mm-hmm. And if that is truly observed, I think we're in a really good place. Yeah. However, this is where we see that there has to be some time allocated to allowing people to do their jobs. Yeah. And this is when you see so much pressure put on people to deliver these buildings and these projects. And I know my father-in-law is a senior project manager, and he's working on some really, really big buildings, and the pressure put on them just to get the job done because they want to meet the deadline and get the payment off the end client. It's enormous, and those financial pressures always put pressure, and you have to look then which bit can we circumnavigate. Yeah. And one of the bits that tends to get missed is the quality. You look at the industry, the whole construction industry now. There used to be clerk of works that used to go around and watch or check your work before they'd sign the check to say, you can have payment. Yeah, wow. I like it. No, there's none of them around now, and this is again where one area where the construction industry went to make savings was to make those jobs redundant, those types of jobs redundant. But there's still the need for that checks and balances to be done. Yeah. But it's got to be pushed on to someone else.
Wow. Okay. No, see, I didn't even know that. Oh, I mean, that was one of the questions. How do we, how do we ensure compliance across the board? But if we haven't got those roles in place, it is that Wild West.
It is
mentality.
Really. Yeah. It is. It can be. Not always, because one thing I will say about Sparkies is they always want to do it well.
Yeah.
And this comes out.
This is not a condemnation of Sparkies, wholesalers, or manufacturers as a whole. I need to make that very, very clear. In fact, we'll put that at the start, Tom. Thank you.
I mean, everyone wants to go out there and do a good job.
Yeah.
They know for whether they do a good job, it leads to another job after that.
Yes.
And you're only as ever good as your last job. So Sparks generally will want to do it well, and they find that the compromising factor there is price. So how can I do it just as well for less money? That's what then sometimes wins them the job. And without doing that act of trying to get the job down or get the materials as low as possible, they won't win the work.
Right.
And that again is where education is a massive piece here, because we haven't just got to educate the contractors, the specifiers that are listening to this. We've got to educate the people that are actually ordering the work.
Yeah.
So the homeowners, the building designers, to say, you do know, if you're going to ask for a £10,000 job, that's all you're going to get is a £10,000 job.
Yeah.
Reality is, you want a £25,000 job if you want it done properly and forever.
Exactly.
And that's the big bit. And I think that's probably what we're trying to do here at CEF as well, is to say, look, yeah, we can pretty much, we can deliver for everyone. But part of the project team that we've got is to say, look, you tell us what you want us to do, and we'll go away and make it happen.
Yeah.
When they don't really know what they want, we then have to step in and help them and say, look, this is what £10,000 gets you.
Yeah.
This is what £25,000.
But that's the responsibility you take on, surely, in that position.
We have done a lot. So yes, at CEF with the National Accounts and Projects Division, they do a lot of that hand holding, because clients sometimes really don't know what they want. They understand they want lights and they want switches and sockets. I want this, and I know where they're going. But our stuff tends to get fitted, forgotten, and people don't go back and looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, no one cares if the conduit's in and what colour it is. They just want to make sure the lights or sockets work. That's the bit there. They understand functionality. They don't understand safety.
Yeah.
And one of my old boss, Alan Wells, he used to always say that functionality is not an indicator of safety. And I think that's the big bit here. We've got to educate those building designers, those people that maintain buildings, to tell them, look, just because it works doesn't mean it's safe.
Absolutely.
And that's where we need to get that big education piece out there. And then that comes back into quality. And then that comes back into sourcing products properly as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was quite shocked a couple of months ago when we had Ian Wright come in from AT&T, and he told us that he was getting, he would get emails fairly regularly of people offering him tube and products like that that they could be to standard, but probably not, and they were a great price, obviously. And it seems like it's so easy to bypass any regulations, any performance.
Yeah. So I know this of CEF. Yes, we in the past it probably could be argued that we're getting stuff in and it's been done without those checks and balances being in. But I know this now. This is us. We have invested a hell of a lot of money in putting people actually on the ground where those products are being made, and we work with those UCAS, those global companies, to make sure that the checks are being done there. So we will go in to manufacturers where they're being made, and a lot of this stuff nowadays is being made and manufactured in the Far East. We'll be there. So when it is coming to the production line, we are checking that actually what they're saying is actually what we're seeing, not just while we're there.
Right,
we are there permanently, and these people are employed permanently to make sure that as before stuff even gets brought across to the UK, it's checked there. So we understand that we've got a responsibility as a supplier to do that.
Yeah.
We also do it from a sustainability point of view as well.
Okay.
We want to also help customers, especially those bigger, larger projects where they have got sustainability levies on them. We want to help them ensure they hit those levies. So we can, through the team with our national projects, we can check the product wherever it is being manufactured. We can understand its carbon footprint at that point. We can follow its carbon footprint from wherever it is to wherever it needs to get to.
Right.
And then we can then pass that on to the person that's actually installing it, knowing everything about it before it gets into their hands.
Excellent. And how's that being received by the customer base?
They really like it. So we're on a bit of a journey ourselves here.
Yeah.
So we wanted to understand our own carbon footprint, and in doing that, we had to look at EcoVadis is a
I had to
mechanism.
Do that questionnaire for you.
Right. So so you
make
have
it shorter.
you have to go through that, and we understand that it's a lot of people when they do it, they're answering questions without really knowing or understanding.
Yeah.
But I think what it does, and you'll know having just been through this, it makes you really ask questions of yourself.
Of course it does.
And we've done lots of that.
It highlights gaps. It's very beneficial, actually. I'm being facetious. It's really good.
Yeah, we found out that there were things that we could probably do better.
Yeah.
So we started that a few years ago, and now we find that every year through tweaks and changes, our score is getting better and better,
Yeah.
and hopefully yours will too.
It wasn't too bad to start off with, to be honest, so I was a bit relieved. Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing that you guys can really help us with here, because no matter how good we are, about 20% of the product carbon footprint is us. 80% is you.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
That's the big problem here.
I know.
We have to rely heavily on manufacturers like you doing your bit and doing the EcoVadis bit so that we can then pass all that true information over to the end user. So larger, bigger products, yes, there is a desire for that. But when you look at the small, medium enterprises, maybe less at the moment, but I can see that really coming on, and then people wanting to know that the stuff they're using is correct. I mean, packaging, for instance, is a big area where, as a wholesaler, we've seen massive changes. A lot of everything used to come in a box used to be a nice, shiny, lovely painted, all different colours, all these boxes. Now you look at our warehouse shelves, and they're quite, I wouldn't say bland, they're not. The marketing department's doing quite a lot of work to make sure they stand out on the shelf still. But they're normally matte finishes, they're cardboard finishes rather than a nice glossy finish that you'd see, which allows people at the other end, once the job's been done, to recycle, and that's helping with their sustainability of the whole project.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we're seeing more and more of now. I mean, with the dawn of social media and hopefully platforms like what we're trying to achieve here, and obviously you guys with your ongoing tech talks, which are fantastic, you're getting that. There's one thing I've said on every one of these, I think, which is I've never thought we talked enough as an industry throughout the supply chain. And it seems like that's happening more and more.
Yeah,
now.
We are getting asked, where's the product coming from? Can you tell us how sustainable this product is? If we've got this big building, this big project that wants to be known as a sustainable project, they need to know where it's coming from. And we have definitely got the right people. We've got an amazing team that can help that.
Excellent.
So when we're filling out, we're filling out the tenders to be able to go forward for these projects, we get that team involved very at the early age. So that the conversations can be had, so that we do and we can truly start to say to people, okay, the product is sourced from here, it then goes to there, it's manufactured there, it then goes from that one into this one, and that one in together, and then it comes to you. So we can start to really tell people about this life cycle of the product.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. I want to come back to the golden thread. Now, it wasn't something I had on the list, but it's something that I've heard, and admittedly, I don't feel like there's been a massive engagement with it, and I wonder if that's, and I think you touched on it, there's a lot of work that you need to, now we've done a significant amount of work on our product data, and we've worked to get that into a space where it's always been pretty clean, but we've got a dedicated PIM, we're ready for ETIM, we've got our GS1 codes and all the TSI code and everything else going on. But do you think that's what's holding people back from engaging with this stuff?
I think when the golden thread was discussed, it's a great idea. Then you've got to come up with a plan how you can actually implement this. This is
the amount of people you've got to get on board.
Yeah, this is the big thing. This is the really big. Look, something's got to be done. There were quite clearly some failings that the Hackett report identified, and hopefully this is going to stop that happening ever again. That horrific incident or anything like it happening ever again. So it's got to work really.
Yeah.
How it's going to work, I still don't think we know as an industry. We've got an idea of how it works, and as you just mentioned there, all the data is key for all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really key. But there's nothing really stopping someone putting in wrong data to skew the figures or whatever, apart from a truly independent third-party accredited scheme. And
well, the CCPI started doing that now, haven't they?
Yeah. So again, with your ISO, whatever ISO you are, 14,000 or whatever. Yeah. So any of those, they're third-party credit. You've got someone truly independent coming round and reviewing what you do to allow you to then say we are ISO whatever.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a benchmark. That's really good. That's going to get you a hell of a lot of the way to where you need to be. The reason I think it hasn't really got momentum yet is, I think if you look at when it was launched, we then had Brexit, the pandemic. I know we keep talking about it, but it just happened. You have to be a realist.
Yeah, well, this is the fallout from it.
It did happen.
Yeah.
Now let's get back on track and let's make it happen again. And I think we will. It definitely, I was quite pleased to see it still hang around, and off the back of that, as you know, with Brexit, we then have to mark everything UKAS now, and instead of just the normal CA mark. So
well, what happened with was that UKAS or UKCA?
CA, yeah.
So
UK
what? Because
CA,
that was because we were doing. I mean, admittedly, it wasn't a lot of our products that were impacted, but we heard about it and we just went and got on with it and did it. Now we appreciate that wasn't as easy for a lot of people to do, and the capability or the infrastructure wasn't there to support it within the timelines. But then it just stopped.
Yeah, I mean, so before that it was CE, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so it was all CE,
yeah.
And actually, CE, when there were some wrongdoings in some projects, when the investigation happened into the product to have a look, right, where are the failings, CE actually wasn't for a compliance for Europe, so certification of Europe. Everyone believed it was. It was actually there was Chinese parts of Chinese industry that were marking things up CE, and when they were challenged to say what does that mark stand for, they said, oh, it stands for Chinese export. And they said, no, it doesn't. It stands for certification of Europe. And they said, no, not in China. It doesn't. But that's what we thought we were buying. We thought we were buying something that complies, and they're saying, oh, no, that's sorry. You've misunderstood. It's your fault. You've misunderstood what you brought.
Wow.
And they just shut up shop. So all of a sudden that created a problem.
Wow.
How much faith now have you got in that CE
Yeah.
mark?
Yeah.
So when we looked to come out of Europe, one of the things was they said you've got to have something in place that's going to take over from that.
Okay.
And that's where that UK. I mean, if you look through the legislation, it was still allowing the CE mark to be used.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
People, I think it was almost very typically British. If you'd all like to move over, please, to start using the UK version of it, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, and we'll give you 6 years.
Yeah. So again, this is where that golden thread could really work. And if it was just to say that as of this date, draw a line in the sand, we're only going to accept this after that date.
Right.
I think it would just really help industry out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, like I say, I'm aware of it, and it's been mentioned in a few. It's certainly been part of EDA discussions.
Yeah.
And this is no slight on anybody. Like you say, we've had Brexit, COVID, bloody, Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
Suez Canal. Now we've got an election potentially coming up, and the cost of living crisis. It's just there's always something that keeps us in stasis, I think.
Yeah, and for the world just keeps on turning, though, doesn't it? We have to remember that, and no matter what gets thrown up, we just have to accept that this nowadays is business as usual.
Yeah,
and just get on with it.
Yeah, just get on with it.
Because if we don't, someone else will.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. I think that's what it's going to take, really, isn't it? Like anything, you need those pioneers of industry and then everybody tends to come along with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
In that vein, then, and again, this is a question I haven't written down, but I just thought about it from when we were talking before. What's your opinion on BIM?
So, many years ago, I looked at BIM, and we had a Cameron government then suggesting that we are going to be the global front runners on BIM. Mm-hmm. So BIM, building information modelling, all that stuff. So you could actually design things in 3D. Now, what it was meant to do, because I went to one of the kick-off meetings down in Westminster about this. We were going to be the leaders, going out there showing everyone how to do BIM properly. You've all been doing it wrong. We're going to show you BIM 2, BIM 3, BIM whatever.
BIM 4, BIM 5, I think. Isn't it?
So we're going to show you how to do it. The idea was that you design these things in 3D, 4D modelling, and they were talking about all this. You'd build it so you would find out if there were any areas of concern or a Sparky's cable going where there's a plumber's pipe.
Exactly.
You're meant to be able to identify all these on AutoCAD or on whatever system you're
Improve
using.
your procurement process.
That's it. So you're meant to do that in an office, and it's much cheaper to change it in an office rather than change it out on site. Yeah. Moving a wall on site costs thousands. Literally changing a line in an AutoCAD machine costs pence.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff and in concept, it's absolutely fantastic and it will work. Unfortunately, we still make buildings the same as what we've done for years.
I know.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And so the actual modelling of it, I get it works. But I mean, a lot of the good architects that are out there and some of the ones that are on TV, they're screaming about us not fully embracing a new way of doing things. And I mean, a lot of our building, when you start to go out on site, and my my father-in-law, he says the biggest hold-up is the UK weather. Without a doubt. The UK weather, it comes in, it wrecks thousands of sheets of plasterboard, it wrecks God knows how much timber, it does this, that and the other, it's just rotten.
Yeah.
In the winter it's too cold to be on site, in the summer it's too hot to be out on site. We're building in the wrong place. We need to build somewhere else. And that's true, we need to build an environment that is constant. And then once it's built, then bring it and put it together on site rather than constructing it on site. And if we did that, we would have better buildings built because they've been built in a safe, constant environment, so they'd be a lot more better. The quality would be there.
Yeah.
We could monitor that quality really easy, rather than have to walk about a building site we don't want to be on.
Yeah.
It's either too hot or too cold. And also, we could do it to a time scale, because now the environment or the external factors won't affect what we're doing.
Okay.
But we still do what we do.
I know. I mean, I know with BIM they tried to. I say they tried, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was it? I feel like it was 2008. Maybe 2013. I can't remember the year. Where, from memory, BIM was you've got to use it on all public sector projects.
Yeah, anything coming out of the central purse was going to be via BIM. You're right. Yeah.
Is that happening?
Yeah, supposedly it's happening. But again, like a lot of these things, it was a flagship thing for the Conservative government to come out at that point and say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. And then in politics, it gets forgotten.
Of course it does.
So I think that's what, unfortunately, BIM, if you talk to some people, they go, oh yeah, that was that thing from a few years ago. No, it's that thing now.
Yeah, it's there now, and it's constantly evolving.
Yeah, it's what people should be doing.
Is there an industry, I say an industry, is there a nation that you're aware of, or a market around the world that is leading the charge on BIM, and they are seeing success from it?
Well, we saw America were quite some big innovators on this, and a lot of it may be because of software that went out to America, and they were developing a lot of the software where BIM first early came in. But then, it was all around that data part of it, and that brought it over into Europe. We saw the Germans at the minute.
Yeah.
They would take quite a big lead on this one because they had data.
Yeah.
They had data on everything.
Yeah.
They knew the weights, the measurements, the products that went into it. They could tell you absolutely everything about whatever they were manufacturing and moulding.
Right.
Which is great, because now you can put all that into BIM, and then BIM starts to do half the work for you.
Absolutely.
So when you just cut and paste or drop and drag a product, it sits there and everyone knows what it's there to do.
Exactly.
Where to go and source it, where to then, how to install it. Everything's known about it. So the Germans were taking quite a big lead, but at the minute I haven't heard of too many projects that are finding problems with BIM. So I assume it's going all right.
I think the last one that I heard was, and admittedly I haven't been keeping tabs on it, but I think they used it on the rebuild of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, from memory. Yeah. Okay. So would you see more BIM then? If the infrastructure was there?
I think...
Or do we need to get our data right first?
Well, data, you guys know here, you've been doing data on the stuff that you've got. Yeah. Data's key. If you're going to go forward with BIM, we need every manufacturer to make sure that their data is complete. Even a small little bit of missing data can then just render the job. Look, I've done the ventilation, I've done the plumbing, I've done everything else, but because some of the data's not there for electrical, I can't do it. Yeah. Also, you're delivering products that aren't complete. We need to make sure it's everything, or even from the concrete that's poured and to everything else. We need to make sure that it's absolutely right. And then I think for BIM to succeed, for the golden mile threads to succeed as well, I think in the UK we've probably got to look at changing the way we construct, and stop doing it out on site where it's got all them problems, and start doing it in really secure environments. So these would be really big factories, effectively, that are building walls and floors, and then it's been taken out on a lorry and it's been nut and bolted together almost like Lego. It's already got conduits in the wall, it's already got pipes in the wall, it's already got ventilation ducts already throughout it, and they're just bolting it together. If they're doing that and going down a model that has been perfected in other parts of Europe, if we can embrace BIM, the golden thread, the
bit
chain,
of prefabrication,
you name it, that sort of stuff, we're laughing.
Okay.
Absolutely laughing.
I mean, I've heard certainly this year and middle to late last year as well, there seems to be more and more conversations now around this desire for prefabrication.
We're seeing it in the electrical world, without a doubt. So we're seeing there's a standard dedicated to these fabricated wiring solutions. So there's those. So yeah, we're gearing ourselves up, ready, I think, for the weight to tip, so that we start to see more of it.
Okay, excellent. All right, brilliant. Well, if I can bring it back to quality, and products. This question could be seen as quite inflammatory, so forgive me. But do you, since before I ask the question, I know there's a lot of different factors, and I think I ran through them all earlier. That that the past 4 or 5 years that we've had have been rather tumultuous, to say the least. But do you sincerely believe that the market puts quality above price overall?
I think there is a desire to. I think without a doubt there is a desire to provide quality. I think what we then end up happening is the challenges, either through time or via financial challenges that come from from an end user or from the building owner. I think at that point we're in the middle. We've got to try and find a solution. They still want the product, but they can't afford to have the product. And this is where I said earlier on, we've got to come up with that educational piece. This is what £10,000 gets you. This is what £25,000 gets you. Now there is a concept in the regulations that here in the UK hasn't been fully embraced yet, but Ireland are looking at this at the moment.
This Reg 8? Yeah,
they've got Part 8. So Part 8 to their rules for installation, Part 8 sits in. And Part 8 really is about energy efficiency and prosumer electrical installations and stuff like that. And what this is basically saying you can have an EE grade, and an EE grade 0 is not very energy efficient, up to a grade 5, which is very energy efficient. Now, if you look into the detail of that, how do you provide an EE5 building which is very energy efficient? Well, it's not just energy efficient the day you put it in, it stays energy efficient. So this would have high build costs, but then it would have hopefully small bills for the lifetime.
Yeah.
Then if you look at the other end of the scale, which is EE0, which has hardly any energy efficiency, that has got probably low build cost, but it's going to have high bills because there's no energy efficiency measures put in. So you'd have to whack on loads of heating in the winter, whack on loads of aircon in the summer, and that's high bills. Whereas a building that's built to EE5 hopefully would have a lot of energy efficiency losses, and it'd have all those ranging targets that we've got to try and hit with these sustainable buildings. It'll have them already met. So this is where I see that the problem is truly educating the end user to say, right, this is what you get for your budget. This is what you get. You can have this type of build. Now, this type of build is going to really look after you for forever in this building. Or if you just want a build that just gets you up and running, we can do that as well. But this is about really, really giving the building owner as much information as possible. And a minute, I really don't think they understand, especially in the electrical world. They just think, fit it, forget it. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And with the is this something that you're covering in your tech talks at the moment?
We've just come off the back of Ireland discussing Part 8. Now, when Part 8 was a concept here in the UK for BS 7671, the Wiring Regulations Committee at the time looked at this and said, does it fit in BS 7671? So our regs is purely, if you follow the regulations, you should have a safe electrical installation. So it's there to provide a safe level of installation work. Does energy efficiency fit in with that? And I believe at the time there was quite a lot of people that sat around the room and said probably not. So it currently sits as an annex. So it's a nice to have informative document, not a you must complete and comply with. And I don't think that will change. I think here in the UK that will stay the same. I think it needs to probably be a different standard that kicks in.
Yeah.
Mainly not for electricians to start making them decisions, but building designers need to make them decisions and then tell the electrician, this is what you need to do.
Okay. Well, if we follow that kind of line of inquiry, for lack of a better phrase, and going to the other end of the supply chain, specifically, manufacturers.
Oh right, yep.
Do you think wholesalers and contractors should demand more from manufacturers in terms of product quality, information?
I'd say it comes down to whoever your customer is.
Right.
If your customer is Miss Miggins and all she wants is to supply out to somewhere for an EV charge point or something like that.
It's a moot point.
Yeah. And at that point there, you're like, I'm just going to lock down the wholesaler. I need some 25mm conduit or whatever. And at that point, the guy standing behind the counter, which one do you want?
Yeah.
The cheapest.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting no money out of this. I'm literally doing it for a drink. Just get me whatever it costs to get this job done and moved on to the next one.
Okay.
Whereas it's a completely different conversation with some of them other customers that we see. Some other customers that come in and they say, no, I only want that one product. That's it. I'm only ever using that one product.
Yeah.
You stock it here. I'm coming in. Can I have that conduit? And we try and hand them something over that they're not familiar with.
Yeah.
It gets rejected. So no, I want that other stuff because I love it. I've worked with it. It's brilliant. I don't care if it's another £1.50 a length more. That's what I want, and I've got faith in it, and I don't have to go back.
Yeah.
There's no going back. Electricians hate going back on the job they've done. Yeah. So there's that. So again, it really depends who your customer is. Your customer dictates, as a Sparky, your customer dictates everything. No matter whether it's a small job that you're just popping in to do and you're never going to see them ever again, or whether it's a massive project, your customer dictates everything that you're trying to do. Yeah.
I mean, of course they do, obviously. But I mean, I think this is the hard part about what we're trying to achieve with our innovations. You know, steel tube systems have been around for 100 years plus now at this point.
Yeah.
And we've got our Conlock offering, which gives you quite significant labour savings. But like you say, if a customer just wants whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to see the benefit of it, then
why
would they?
The specification market in the UK is growing.
Yes.
So we're starting to see that. So there are a lot more specifiers nowadays than what they used to be, and they're the people that, again, we should all be targeting and saying, look, as a specifier, you need to go in and when the electrician comes back and says, this is what your job is, this is how long it's going to take, you need to say, challenge them. So we need the specifiers to start challenging us and saying, I want a bit of saving. Now, if you use this Conlock system, I believe there's 4 days worth of saving there.
Yeah.
And then have that conversation and see whether the additional cost in Conlock outweigh the savings and labour on one or the other. So and that's, again, what I think Sparks have just got to, I mean, ultimately they've got to talk more. Communication in the sector isn't the greatest. If they talk more, they'll understand more, and after understanding more, they can provide more solutions.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for that soundbite on Conlock as well, by the way. Very helpful. We're starting to come to the end of it now, and I feel like I know what you're going to say in answer to the next question. With how proactive CEF are around educating their people, but how high do you feel the level of technical understanding needs to be at the wholesaler level? Because we've had quite wildly different responses to this question before.
So through CEF, relationships are everything, and if you meet an electrician at a party and start talking to an electrician, within 5 minutes, it will be a technical conversation you're having. They love talking technical. Sparks love technical. And we've realised that, and that's where we are. We're on that journey of not only being there literally just to make sure they've got a coffee and they've got their 100 metres of 2.5, but we can talk to them about that 2.5 as well. Yeah. And that's where we are. So we have an excellent team that looks after the growth of people and culture within CEF to ensure that when you're rocking up to a wholesaler, the person you're talking to can truly look after you on a number of different levels. The technical level is one of them. And then there's myself and a colleague that have just been doing some stuff with a lot of the branches and a lot of staff regarding upskilling them in PV. So rather than just giving them a panel and saying, you asked for the panel, this is the panel you asked for, we can actually say, did you know that this panel also has this type of clip with it, or has that type of rail with it, or comes with these MC4 connectors, and if they're not quite right for you, you can change everything. This is the level that is really demanded for nowadays by our customers. So we have to give them it. If we don't, rightly so, they'll go somewhere else and get it. And we don't ever want there to be an excuse where someone says, I went into CEF and didn't get what I was asking for, so I've gone somewhere else. So we are doing everything we can to try and make sure that our staff are truly your electrical experts, and we're doing that by spending a lot of time and a lot of effort in upskilling our existing workforce, plus our newbies as well. As they come and join us, we like to try and give them as much information so they can hit the floor running.
Great.
And that's the big bit of work that we're doing.
Brilliant. I imagine that's quite successful in terms of retaining your people as well, because that's a big problem at the moment in the industry. Yeah,
retaining, recruitment, all of that is a problem. I'd say it's one of the big factors for people staying with us, is the fact that we do truly rely upon them and their relationships, and as a result of that, we invest in them and their relationships.
Brilliant.
And technically is one of the areas where we invest.
Okay. As I said at the start, you've you grew up as a Sparky. I'm assuming, hopefully correctly, that you've worked with some poor product or non-conforming product in the past.
Yeah, I've been unlucky enough to come across some stuff that's out there. Yeah, so there was some plastic conduit that wouldn't bend once.
Right.
There was some metal conduit. This is the old days. We used to have black conduit, didn't we?
Well, we've still black conduit now.
Yeah, well, I remember a load of black conduit once. As soon as you bent it, the paint just stripped off it straight away.
As doesn't.
So yeah, I remember Bedford College once. We used to get loads of conduit in. So you name it, conduit used to come in the big bundles. We used to then teach people how to bend it, do stuff with it, and that was black enamel. And again, it was just literally as soon as you put it anywhere near the conduit bender, the paint would just peel off it. It was crunch. And then we've had the stuff that we get hold of, and it's rusty because it's been stored outside. But there's, and again, there's not so much now, but there was at some particular times, someone's just got into the market. And it happens, unfortunately. It happens where it just creeps in, and you see cable, unfortunately, that comes in from Turkey and doesn't do what it's meant to do, and other parts. So we see, unfortunately, every now and then, it does happen.
I know it does. I was wondering what happens. Excuse me. What happens then? How is it called out or addressed with the manufacturer or the supplier? Do you think we do enough to highlight those issues?
Well, not really. I think I know what we did at Bedford College when we found those problems, and I know what we did when I was on site when we had the conduit that wouldn't bend. You simply stop using it at that point, return it back, and you have a bit of a row. And normally what you do is you just stop using that person and move on to someone else. Yeah, that's what tends to happen in our industry. If you've got something that doesn't feel quite right, you tend to go somewhere else until it does feel right. And again, that's because we're not very good communicators in this sector. Whereas if we would have just said, look, I found this problem, what can you do? Hopefully then, as a wholesaler, they would have opened up at that point, but they didn't. So we said, look, I'm returning this lot back. We need a credit note on it. And then you're into a big row of what happened. You can't wait at that point. I've got a classroom full of people that are waiting for the conduit. So I had to go out and get some more conduit, but while the row was going on over here, I stayed away from it and went over there, and then get a really good relationship elsewhere. But there isn't a central place where we could go to and say, so for instance, Electrical Safety First, they do amazing work on product recalls. So on appliances, sorry. Okay. So if my hair straighteners that I was using came faulty, I could check them against a register that is held, a central register. Right. I could put in there, and they would say, these were already registered. You should return them straight away or whatever. Wow, okay. So then they help with product recalls. I think that it would be brilliant if they open their scope at Electrical Safety First to include electrical installation products as well. I know they're looking to do more in that sector than they have done before, but the Electrical Safety First, they exist as a charity that are there to ensure that all users of electrical safety are safer through education and through information. Okay. So they do some excellent work regarding anything with a 13 amp plug on it. Hopefully they can start to do more work again in the area of the products, the nuts and bolts, the sockets, the switches, the stuff that we're fitting to provide these systems that we plug into every day.
And would you see if they did choose to expand, or another entity came in and took on that responsibility, would you see that being welcomed by the industry?
I don't see why not. Like I said earlier on, I don't think anyone truly goes out there to fit a poor
Neither
installation.
Do I. Yeah.
So anything like that, I think, definitely would help.
Okay, brilliant. So just to wrap up the product section then, and it's because we were talking about it when we were showing you around earlier. You talked about innovation, and obviously within the products that we sell, our bread and butters in tube and tube accessories, steel channel and bracketry, things like that. And there's not masses of scope for innovation, but we like to think we've done a pretty good job so far. I'm just curious to understand you seem to have quite a positive attitude towards innovation, and I'm wondering how we get, or what you would say is the way to get more people to being open to them. Because people have their way of doing stuff that they don't want to change.
Yeah, I think that's a spark's life. I think.
Yeah.
If it was good for me, it's good for you. That sort of mentality. Yeah. I think we've got to. We have to embrace new ways of doing things. this is the sector. This is the construction sector, not just electrical.
Yeah.
And we spent a bit of time this afternoon talking about the changes in the construction industry that I would love to see come in. And again, innovation is going to be a big thing there when it comes in. Whether it's going to be a plug and play system that we start to all embrace or whatever. But I think at the minute what we're seeing is innovation. It needs to be sexy.
Yeah.
So and almost people will only really get involved in it if it's sexy. Yeah, I'll get involved in that because it looks nice and I get to look at it.
Yeah.
But a lot of our stuff is either behind plaster or above false ceilings, isn't it?
Yes.
So does it need to look good? No, it doesn't. It just needs to be functional.
Exactly.
And that's the bit. So again, it's that part of you could put an awful lot of time into your research and development for very little gain.
Yeah.
And that's the
balancing
thing. That is a balancing thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's needed, without a doubt it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it needed? I think the sparks out there are the only ones that can answer that one.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe we'll put a poll out after this and see what happens. Well, look, I think we've covered quite a chunk there, and we've gone off on a nice tangent, really interesting tangent as well around the golden thread and BIM and things like that, which hopefully will be interesting to people listening. We've got two just standard questions we ask everybody. So the first is, what do you think the greatest opportunity is for wholesalers at the moment in the market?
The biggest bit for us is availability. So when we're starting to see product availability, especially with the challenges that we've spoken about this afternoon, it's key that we overcome those challenges. Mm-hmm. How do we do that? Well, we've got to put our hands in the pockets and we've got to buy more so that we have it on our shelves so that then we can start to sell it. We're moving into a world now that is moving so fast and so quick. We can be pricing things up on the Monday. We could be fitting it on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then getting paid for it on the Thursday or Friday.
Right.
And that's the speed of our industry now. And we need to be able to react to that speed. Mm-hmm. Gone are the days when I started in the early 90s where my boss was pricing stuff up and then fitting it in a month's time or whatever, and then getting paid for it maybe the month after. That for a small medium enterprise is gone. Yeah. And that they need to be able to access that stock availability very quickly. So not just the cable, the conduit, the back boxes and stuff like that, but the big stuff as well is going to be the availability where I need an aircon unit today. Like, hold on a minute, no one stocks aircon units today. We've got to start looking at that as being the stuff that people need today or within the next 24 hours.
Absolutely.
And that's so accessibility is going to be the biggest hurdle for all of us in this sector.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an offshoot of the Amazon effect, isn't it? You know, Amazon's revolutionised the way everybody or most people shop, and you want that same experience. But in terms of stock, hopefully when we showed you around earlier, we've got too much. So if you want to take some offers, please do. At the minute, it's certainly not something we're shy of having. And then just moving on to the last question before we wrap up, and I ask you off camera for your dad's number because I've got some products you might be interested in. What do you think we can do better as an industry throughout the entire supply chain?
I think visibility of it. So I think that's the big thing for me. And we're starting to get that. So EcoVadis has definitely meant that a lot of people now can be... So you used to say to people, right, where does that socket come from? Oh, it comes from CEF. Well, it doesn't, does it? Yeah. We then go and get it from someone. And I think that's the big thing now, that they are truly seeing that visibility. EcoVadis and that sort of grading system will allow end users and installers to truly understand where the products come from
and make more informed decisions. Yeah,
so they're starting to see that. Is what we're starting to see a lot more of.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we've come to the end of the questions, and before we do properly wrap up, if you want to give us a bit of information on what's happening with the tech talks, obviously CEF Live is next year, I think.
So CEF Live, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we're doing it again. But I can't believe how, but we are. It's going to be, well, we know it's going to be potentially the biggest construction event across Europe.
Wow.
So it's going to be the first week of June at the NEC in 2025. We've got 3 halls, I think, something like that. So so there's a lot of really good news. You're the first people to sort of hear this, really.
Okay.
I still don't know if it's happening or not. I've just heard all the rumours. So yes, it's going to be enormous. CEF Live. It was a great event. We had 9,000 customers come and join us. Me and Dave delivered 7 tech talks on both days.
Brilliant.
And it was absolutely superb to see so many customers come and access that information. We've done it in partnership with the IET, and they are going to remain our partners as well. So people are getting the information direct from the horse's mouth rather than hearing it third party or this is what I believe the reg means. They're actually getting it from the people that write the standard. So,
brilliant.
So we're going to have them there with us as well to deliver, again, more technical content to help people understand what changes are happening at that moment in time. So we've got about a year. Mm-hmm. I bet you will see some changes that are happening within that 12 months. So yeah, we'll start to make a lot of noise about that in 2025. But
do you reckon they'll come out in the last week of May?
Yeah, absolutely. You can guarantee. Yeah, we'll be scrambling to get that information to people. Yeah. But we've got another Tech Talk series that's going to kick off as well. So
brilliant.
So we've got about 22, 23 venues across the UK that we're going to go to. Starting in September, then going across to middle of November-ish. So it's either 2 or 3 a week. We're going to be delivering these. There's 24 exhibitors at each venue that are linked to the subjects that we're talking about. So the whole morning is CPD accredited with 3.5 hours worth of CPD. We just keep giving it, CEF. It's a free bacon roll, free parking. You get to see me and Dave. What more could you want?
Absolutely nothing. You've summed up my life's ambition. No, that's brilliant. Really, really positive. And, I think... I said before, I came to see you when you were working for NICE, and it's great to see that work's continuing.
I think it's all because there is the desire, because we change so much in the industry. There is the desire from contractors that I've seen across the years. They'd love to stay up to date, but they're so busy doing their day-to-day stuff, it's hard. Yeah. So Tech Talks is an opportunity to stay up to date. We can also, again, make them aware of the innovation that you guys are doing so that they can get out there and say, oh, right, we didn't know about that. Yeah. Let's go and have a look at it. And we guarantee people coming along to a Tech Talk will be able to leave knowing more and also finding something that will make it quicker or easier out there than what they're currently doing it. So
brilliant.
So it's worked. And, another couple of Premier Inns this year, can't go amiss. I think I've been in them all now.
You're ticking them off a little map. Remember the little chef map you used to get?
Oh, yeah, horrible. The Olympic breakfast. Thank God they've gone. Little thief, we called them.
Oh, that's great. Well, do you want to just tell people if they want to get in touch with you, how they can make contact?
Well, what we're doing over at CEF, we've got the hub, so the trade hub. So if people go to CEF, you'll see the online, and that's what you can purchase from us online. You can do loads at CEF online. Or if you find on that website there, again, across the banner will come rolling the Tech Hub in there. There's lots of stuff. We've got the CEF Tech cards that are there to support contractors. We've got information about the up-and-coming or the current Tech Talks, depending on where we are. We've got stuff in there from the IET as well. So we share some content with them. And that part of our website is only ever going to get bigger as well because we're looking to do more of our content with our partners, our supply partners like you. Great. To get some noise out there to really help people make those informed decisions.
Brilliant. Sounds absolutely fantastic. And yes, hopefully people go and check out CEF online and get yourself to some Tech Talks because I can attest that they're really good. Darren, that's been absolutely brilliant. Can't thank you enough for taking the time, and I think we better get you out soon because you've got to get a cake for your wife.
I'm off, yeah. If I don't get some cake and candles, I'm in trouble.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Take care.